Hey YouTubers, got another video review for you today. So I just wanted to say this video review is not sponsored by Ridgid. They did not send it to me. I had to buy this with my own money. Now, the second thing I'm going to say is I seen some advertisements for this thing way back before Memorial Day. And I remember getting an email from Home Depot and they said something about a Memorial Day sale or something, and it showed the Ridgid fan on there, and then I go to buy it and it's not available till I think June 10th. Today's the June the 12th, and I just got it earlier today, and I literally have been playing with this stupid thing all day, and I gotta say I'm here to do a review on it for you, and I'm going to tell the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. Probably some stuff you don't even want to know about it, because I'm sure I'll tell you some stuff about this fan that some of the other sponsored YouTube channels won't tell you. So stay tuned. So I actually bought two of these, and they're $49.99 each. And I thought, well, if I really like it, I'll keep both of them. If I don't, then I can always return one of them. But I don't never know if they're going to come back in stock again. So I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and get two, and I can return it if I don't like it. But anyways, when I opened the cardboard box from Home Depot, I was a little disappointed just because it didn't come in like a box. It come in like this little cheap display, and I thought, man, for $50, you should have put it in a box like the normal tools and made it look a little bit more, premium. Now, I know that's just a box. I'm going to throw it away, but I don't know. I just felt like, if you're going to spend $50 on this thing, they should have packaged it a little nicer. Second of all, this here is the 18-volt subcompact brushless magnetic clamp fan. Yes, that is a huge name for this thing. And, it really is a nice fan, and it's built really well. But, for $50, it does not come with a battery. And, one of the things that, I wished Ridgid would have done on this fan is, figure out another way besides charging it with the 18-volt batteries. They should have made it to where, you had an AC outlet on here where you do dual voltage. 110 volts for plugging it up into your house and 18 volts. I mean, literally, Ridgid, come on now. You should have made some other way to charge it. So that's my biggest complaint. I've got a 4 amp hour battery here. The way that it goes on is just like with all the other power tools. You just slide it on there. The fan itself is kind of hefty. I mean, it's built really good. I mean, it feels strong. The plastic doesn't feel weak on it. And, if you don't mind carrying that heavier weight around, then yeah, that's fine. Now, just to do like a quick comparison, and I know this is not apples to apples, but you can see the fan size is roughly the same. It's a 4.5 inch fan, and I believe that's the same as on this one here. This fan is $50. This one's $20. This one has no battery. This one has a built-in battery. This one you can use as a power bank, and it has a 65-hour runtime. Now, this one here has a long runtime on a 4 amp hour battery. You can get 60 hours of runtime with it on low. This one here, I can get 65 hours of runtime on low and from the built-in battery. Now, is the output the same? Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, this one, I keep it beside my desk over here. I've got these little knobs here on my little closet. And what I do is just take and put a little bend in it, and I hang this thing on that knob, and it points towards me while I'm sitting at my desk. I've used this thing every day for the last year, and I've owned it for probably 3 to 4 years, but I've not used it every day for those 3 or 4 years. Only for about the last year, I've used this thing every single day. And this thing puts out quite a bit of air. It's from a company called Ridgid. I mean, they didn't send this to me. I bought it off of Amazon. This thing works absolutely amazing. Has a long battery runtime. Like I said, $20. Versus this one, it doesn't have no battery. You have to bring your own battery. And like I said, the output on low for both of these fans is very close to the same. Now, the thing is with Ridgid, they blew up the numbers for like the output because that's what tool companies do. They try to boast big numbers on things, and I'll just go ahead and show you. Prime example. With this thing on low, it's very quiet, and it puts out about the same as this here. It's very equal. I mean, literally, I'll set them side by side. I'll put this one on low. And literally, they're both very quiet. When I take, I'll turn this one off. When I take and move this one up from low to medium, listen to this amount of sound. That fan just goes crazy, and it starts whining and humming. But then listen, when I go from medium to high, this thing is really freaking loud. I would never run this thing on high because it would probably drive me crazy. I mean, literally, that's unreal, unreal. Now, according to Home Depot's website, and somebody asked some questions below down in the comments, and it said, you know, just how loud this thing is. And it said speed 1, 28 dBA, speed 2, 43 dBA, speed 3, 55 dBA. I don't know about these numbers. I just know that speed 3 is freaking loud. Speed 2 is more manageable. Now, if you're in a construction site where you're not going to notice noise from the fan, then by all means. But if you're going to be in a quiet place where you're working on the car or doing something, you know, intricate and just want a little bit of fan blowing on you, speed 2 is going to be borderline, but speed 3 is going to drive you nuts. Just trust me on that. As far as the fan, I felt like I said, I felt like they should put another way to charge it on here, but then also, why not do something a little bit different, you know, and add a couple more features to this? If you're going to charge $50 premium and all you're getting is just a motor for a fan and no battery, then why couldn't they have put maybe a light on here? So you could have used it for camping or up underneath a car or something, you know, extra. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox. So I just wanted to show you the light. I'm excited to get it, but I'm kind of aggravated at the same time. Anyways, so here we go. You can pull this thing all the way around. It articulates, and it does spin 360 degrees. I mean, literally, the head of that thing goes all the way around, but then you can see that there is a joint right here, and so you can bend it all the way down. That's as far as it'll go. And then with the battery in there, it can only go that far. And then this joint up top, right there, you can bend the fan down. So that's as small as it'll bend down to. And then if you want to, you can bend it the other way, and that's as far as it'll go. But as far as being able to have good adjustability, I give the fan 100% on that. I mean, literally any direction that you want this thing to point at, I mean, it moves and puts it in the right position very easily. I mean, I love the way that it moves, and I think that's awesome. You know, if you're working on something metal, let's say an electrical panel or something like that, it does have some magnets. There's one there, and I've got just a metal socket tray. And let's say you're in your garage and you got a toolbox and you want to stick it on the side of your toolbox, then it does hold pretty well. And I've even tested it with some of the bigger batteries. And like I said, this is a 4 amp hour that's on there. I've got a 6, and even with the 6, it still holds on there, you know, pretty good. I don't feel like it's going to pull off very easy. And I do have an 8 as well, but you know, I would not chance it with a 12, just simply because if this thing was to accidentally fall off there with a big 12 amp hour battery, then it would probably break the fan. I mean, that's a pretty heavy combination when you join those two together, and you know, it makes it a little bit easier to pull off. I mean, it's still got some good sticking power there, but like I said, you put that big 12 amp hour battery on there, and I don't know that I would risk, you know, putting it up on something metal, because I would be scared that it would fall off, and those batteries plus this light, you would die of that, because that would be like over $300 for the two. All right, so another way that you can mount this fan is there's a little slot here on the bottom for, you know, if you want to mount it to a nail or a screw. It's got like a little slot right there, and you can mount it that way. All right, so another way that you can hang this fan is right here on the side. You'll notice that there's like a little push button right there, and I'll show you what that's for here in just a second. But if you'll notice on each side, there's like a finger hold place on each side of this fan, and what's that's used for is for you to reach in and pull that spring-loaded clamp out, and it's a little difficult to pull it out there at the very end, but it looks like a little stainless steel spring clamp. And let's say you're needing to hook it on to some wooden studs, you can just take and hook it on just like that. And I know you're going to say, well, you know, if these studs are vertical, then it's just going to fall down. Well, that's true, you know, unless you wedge it in there like this. But this has a little release on it right here. So you mash this button, and then it tightens up on that stud so it's not going to fall down. So yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, it locks into place, and I mean, seriously, I'm holding the 2x4, and they did a good job on the clamp part of it. Like I said, when you want to release this clamp part here, you just mash that button, and make sure you watch your fingers because it'll pinch you. And then there's like a little area right here on the bottom. It's shaped like a V. Once you pull that thing out and it locks, you can see that there's like a little V channel here on the bottom of the light. So let's say you're working on something that has a piece of pipe, something round. You could stick that in there and then close that clamp, and it'll hold on a piece of pipe, or you know, whatever will fit right in there. So yeah, it's pretty neat that the way that they've got it to where it'll, you know, mount on different surfaces. So guys, I went ahead and set up a set of scales here, and these are very accurate. I've got them zeroed out there. I don't know if you guys can see that. But I'm going to go ahead and put the Ridgid fan on there, and it says 2 pounds exactly. So, okay, that's not too crazy. Then by the time you add a 4 amp hour battery, which that's what they test it with, now you're at 3.5 pounds. So that's kind of heavy for, you know, a fan that, you know, if you're, you know, carrying in a bunch of tools, I don't know that you're going to want to carry in a 3.5 pound fan. Some of you will, no problem, you know, but some of you, I know that's going to be kind of heavy compared to, you know, this one right here. Like I said, $20 fan with a built-in battery, 0.9 pounds. I know you're going to say, well, it's not apples to apples, and this one's not built as strong as this one. That's right. This one is built very tough. Like I said, the plastic on this thing is very tough. But like I said, if you drop it with a battery on there, is it going to break the fan? And is that going to be covered under the lifetime service agreement? You know, if you accidentally break it from droppage, you know, let's say the magnet, if you accidentally knock it off with your arm or something like that, are they going to cover that? If they don't, then you're out $50. And if it damages the battery, then, you know, yeah, you're out another 50 to $100, depending on if you got the battery in a kit or bought it by itself. Whether, you know, if you knock this thing off, I've knocked it off several times. I can speak from experience. I've knocked this grate off the front of it. Yeah, I've knocked that thing off a dozen times, and you know, I pick it back up, put it back on there. But like I said, I've had this thing for years, and I've ran it every day for a year. And yeah, this thing works great, especially for $20. So, you know, I just feel, again, you know, that's a lot of money just for the fan without a power source, and, you know, for the same amount of output on low. Now, and even with this one, you know, like I said, this one's got 3 speeds as well as this one. Even with this one on high, it does have a little bit of noise to it, but nothing like this. I mean, this thing, it moves more air on high, but on speed 1 and 2, this is 1. You can barely hear this thing running. Speed 2, it is very quiet. Speed 3 is getting on up there. I would say it's equivalent to probably not quite speed 2 on this one, because this one, like I said, when you kick it on from speed 2 to 3 and 1 to 2, there's a big gap. I mean, listen. There's 1, 2, 3. So It says right here, 325 CFM to 800 feet per minute. So the reason they boast those big numbers is because they're talking about it being on speed 3. Oh yeah, right here, 60-hour maximum runtime using a 4 amp hour battery, not included, on the low setting. If you think you're going to get 60 hours with this thing on high, you're not going to get 60 hours, I promise you, because this thing is really spinning on speed 3. And like I said, you're not going to want to listen to that all day if you're in a quiet setting. So while I am a Ridgid tool fanatic, I feel like, Ridgid just don't come out with, all the cool stuff like some of the Ryobi stuff, homeowner version. And, they don't come out with some of the cool stuff like the little little die grinders like Milwaukee has. I would wish Ridgid would come out with some stuff like that. But it's funny that, Ryobi and Ridgid and Milwaukee are all owned by the same company, TTI, as far as I know. They used to be. I believe they still are. But, most people don't know that. And truthfully, the reason I keep buying Ridgid stuff is I have too many batteries at this point to turn back. I mean, literally, and I think that's why a lot of you watching this video, keep buying it as well. And plus, it's good quality stuff, but I feel like research and development department are just not putting a whole lot into these tools anymore. Now, the chainsaw that I reviewed, I was very impressed with it. The auger, not so much. Now, in closing, here is the main reason why I keep getting drawn to buying more and more Ridgid stuff. And that is no other than the lifetime service agreement. Let's say the fan just quits working, I wouldn't have to buy it again. It's covered under that lifetime service agreement, which, covers the fan, if it just quits working. Now, if he wants to damage it and break it that way, they're probably not going to cover it. But let's just say you wore it out, then, you'll send it in, and then they'll just replace it and give you another one. So that is the benefit. And another major benefit to the Ridgid line is not only does that cover the tool itself or the fan, but it also covers the batteries. And these batteries are expensive. You guys buying the DeWalt and the Milwaukee and even some of the Ryobi batteries and Makita batteries, all of them are very expensive. And this is where they're making their money hand over fist. I mean, literally, the batteries that they put in here are very cheap. I mean, they don't cost much at all. I mean, it doesn't cost them hardly anything to make these. They probably have $10 in this. I mean, truthfully, or less. But, the batteries, whenever they start going bad, you start getting less and less runtime. You call them up. As long as you registered the fan and the battery with Ridgid, then you call them up and just let them know, hey, the battery is not, performing like it should. It's not getting very much runtime. And I'm sure they'll take a look at their serial number and all that and see when the date of purchase and all that stuff was and do some testing with you over the phone with your battery charger. And, if they decide that it is no longer acceptable, then they'll send you another one. I've had several batteries from Ridgid replaced through the years. And like I said, I've been buying Ridgid tools for the last 20 years and they've never given me a hassle at all as far as the warranty. I've had, I think I've had to replace the clutch and one of the drills, and I think something else went bad, but I've replaced several of the batteries, and so that's why I keep coming back to this. Like I said, I just wish Ridgid would start putting some more thought and be more creative like they do with the Milwaukee and Ryobi lines, and I think that would revive the Ridgid lines. And plus, when you go into Home Depot, the Ridgid line is exclusive to Home Depot, and they have such a small section. I'd love to see them carry more tools by Ridgid. So I don't understand that. I don't understand why they keep pushing the other brands so much and they do so little for Ridgid. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox again. So You guys can tell that I love my Ridgid tools, but I'll be brutally honest with you. I have nothing to hide. But, you know, like I said, if this one breaks, you get it through the lifetime warranty. They'll give you another one. If this one breaks, you're out $20. So there is your pluses and minuses with both. You know, if you don't want to spend $50 and you want the package with the good fan, 3 speeds, and you know this one here has the legs that you can bend and all this kind of stuff, and it's got a long battery life. Like I said, this thing can go up to 65 hours on low, and I've never tested that, but I do know that it can run almost 3 days on it. So it does have an amazing battery life, and I can vouch for this thing. But you know, like I said, no warranty. You break it, you lose 20 bucks. This one, you're out 50 bucks. So it's up to you guys. I'll put a link for this one in the description for you cheapskates like me. But anyways, you'll have to go to homedepot.com for this one, or Direct Tool Outlet. If you, they probably don't have them there yet, but I would say, depending on how they do, I would say in the coming months they'll probably be in Direct Tool Outlet. So with this thing just like this right here, it measures 1 foot exactly, and then the head of the fan is 6 inches, and then the fan itself is 4.5 inches, and then as far as like the base here, let me give you just a rough idea. It's about 6.25 inches there from side to side. And to show you guys that I really do test this stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and set the fan on speed number 3. I'll put it right here, and I'm gonna be testing the feet per minute. And it said when I Googled it on how to test it with an anemometer, this is a digital anemometer, it said to double the length of the fan to do your testing. So this is a 4.5 inch bladed fan. So 4.5 and 4.5 is 9 inches. So I've got 9 inches right there on the tape measure, and I'm just going to stick it right there on the side of the fan, and then I'm going to take the anemometer and put it right there. And I'm going to sit here and try to get it as flat towards the fan as possible. And this is, like I said, on speed 3, 728. They said that this thing was rated at up to 800 feet per minute. So, and I hope that I'm testing this correctly. Tested it a few minutes ago and was able to get a little over, like 826 was the highest that I was able to get. So, I mean, you have to be like right on the money to get this meter perfect. But I did get over 800 feet per minute. All right, so I'm going to test this as well, and you guys are going to be shocked. And so I'm going to go ahead and set it on speed number 3. That's 3. 9 inches, the same as this one here. $649, $629, $645. So I mean, it does vary, but $645, that's still pretty good, you know, for a $20 fan that has a 65-hour runtime, has a built-in battery, and it's $20, and I've used it every day for a year. It's pretty damn good, guys. So, you know, I think if they can build one for 20 bucks and make it quieter and give it the same runtime and have a built-in battery, come on, Ridgid, step your game up. Put a light on here. Put a way to, you know, charge it by AC power. You put a USB port on here so you charge your phone. This one has it. This one has a built-in power bank. It's got a port here on the back so you can charge your phone. All right, guys. So there you go. I tested it for you. I did the best that I could with just a little cheap anemometer gauge that I've had for years. I've never even used it. I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd. So anyways, if you've got the Ridgid platform and you're worried about wearing it out because you use it so much, then by all means get it. But if your ears are sensitive to that whine, you get it and try it and see if you like it, and then come back and tell me if I'm crazy or not in the comments. I know some of you guys are just Ridgid fanboys, and I am too. But you know, let me know what you think about it. And there's just 3 reviews on Home Depot right now, so I guess once people start getting theirs, they'll start writing more and more reviews. But this is mine, and I'm sticking to it. So appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And like I said, you know, comment down below what you think about it. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Or whatever. So until next time, guys. See ya.